Are we on?
Yes.
The director didn't say action. Okay, Neutral Zone Infraction / That Mediocre Sports Show. Today's topic comes from one of our wonderful listeners. Should I say his name?
Huh? No, he probably doesn't want to be known. He probably go, I don't listen to them. I just know them.
His name is Tony. I will say that. And he wrote in and said,
He wrote in. He basically told you, you are going to do this topic next.
I know that's the topic was.
I know that's what you did, Tony. You had to do it.
You had to do it. The topic was Marcus Allen hosed? Would you say that? Was he hosed out of several years of his career?
Yeah.
By Al Davis, and we went through a lot of all kinds of looking and Googling and several statistics.
Went through at least 2 different statistics. At least 2.
I had to my phone. I found out that I can have lots of different pages on it, and I have one page up still. Marcus Allen was an incredible running back, and multi-purpose player, not counting kickoff returns because I don't think he did that, and we discussed that too.
Because if we'll qualify it with this, we looked at the top all-purpose yard leaders, and you have people on there like Brian Mitchell and Darren Sproles and Tim Brown. Well, a lot of these guys did punt and kick returns.
I did that. It was my fault.
And it's like I'm sorry. It's like I don't count those yards as much. To me, they're not as important. Because Brian Mitchell, if you are going to put Brian Mitchell in an all-time category, is he even going to be... I mean, would he ever be a starting running back for your football team?
No.
And to me, a starting running back is way more important than your punt returner or kick returner.
Excuse me, he would be my starting kickoff returner.
Yeah, and it's like how much, it's like, I think he probably made a decent living doing it. I know he did, but...
he made a pretty good living.
He made a pretty good living doing it. But it's like, would you rather have Marcus Allen for his career what he did on the field, or Brian Mitchell?
Yeah, and that's basically why we decided to throw that out. But if you're talking all-purpose yards, Marcus Allen, I'm going to be honest with you, he was way better than I thought. I didn't realize how good he was. I mean,
I didn't realize he had as many rushing yards as he did. I didn't realize he had way over 10,000. He has 12,243 rushing yards.
Now, he's also the first back to get 10,000 yards rushing and 5,000 yards receiving.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
First ever running back to pull that off. First ever player to pull that one off. That's a big one.
I guess when we come down to this, and we looked at the stats for every year, it does look like Al Davis and the Raiders did try to hose him. Now, it's not as long as I thought it was.
No, it's not as long as I thought it was, but it's significant enough because it happened in the prime of his career.
Well, was it? Okay. Yeah, maybe. He'd been in the league.
Well, because you look at his last 4 years in Kansas City.
Yeah, I would have. Okay.
His last 4 years, I mean, I got the stats. His last 4 years in Kansas City, he rushed the ball an average of 200 times a year, and he averaged about 800 yards rushing at the end. Those were in his last 4 out of his 5 years. Those were his numbers.
Yeah, that was good.
He was still averaging almost 4 yards a carry in years 12, 13, 14, I mean, that's pretty good. Most running backs now don't make it out of their 8th or 9th year anymore.
Well, and nowadays they say 10 years you're washed up. Even Adrian Peterson isn't getting much of a look. Whereas back then, it seems like a running back would go a little longer, but they could maybe catch the ball better than some of these guys nowadays. I don't.
Well, really Marcus Allen was a special talent. This hurts me a little bit to say because I was not a big Marcus Allen fan because I was a Bronco fan. Still am a Bronco fan, and we're talking about a Raider and a Chief.
Now, first of all, this has nothing to do with how he really is, but we thought he sucked.
Yeah, we didn't think he was as good as he was.
He just sucked. But the truth of the matter was he didn't suck. Just in our minds, he sucked.
Yeah, and he had almost 1,800 yards between receiving. 18,000 yards. Excuse me. 18,000 yards between receiving. I mean, almost 20 grand.
That's a lot.
And he was gypped out of pretty much 2 seasons he was pretty much, he was healthy, and he was pretty much just relegated to the bench.
And the crazy part is, we looked, Bo Jackson, we thought maybe Bo Jackson was one. Well, we looked at it, and Bo Jackson left in, you said 90. Well,
90.
He was hurt. In 90, when I look at this, it looks like Marcus Allen started 15 games out of 16. This is 1990. He had 179 carries. Thank you. I have a hard time with that word. I wanted to say handoffs again. Handoffs. God, I'm so good.
It's so the quarterback hands it to Marcus Allen, then Marcus Allen would hand it off to Bo.
Well, it wasn't quite like that. But in 90, he had 682 yards rushing, 3.8, and he had 15 catches for 189 yards. Now, in 89, we came up with that he was hurt. He was hurt. He had a knee.
You can't really blame Al Davis or the Raiders for that. It's just something that happens. It was a bad luck thing for Marcus that year. He got hurt.
He got hurt. So it looks like in 90, Jackson was probably playing fullback up until he got hurt.
Well, I mean, what it looks like is that at some point Bo Jackson got hurt, and then all those carries that Bo was taken from him went to they had to go to Marcus Allen. You didn't have anybody else.
And in defense of Bo Jackson, this is really interesting. He didn't have a lot of carries, but his yards per average, what was it, 5 point?
His career average was like 5.4 yards a carry. 5.4 per carry.
And I think it was only a 4-year span.
4-year span.
And it does look like he only Bo would come in and only play half a season or 11 games or so. So Marcus was. It seemed like he was doing okay with that. It does.
Marcus was a good teammate. He
was.
Just was doing whatever was best for the team. If
was.
Bo Jackson could make the team win, Marcus Allen was very gracious in all of this.
He was. And then it hits the fan.
Yeah.
And I would have to say in 91 and 92, oh yeah. I mean, he had 63
carries.
Thank you. God, that's a hard word. Why can't I say that?
I don't know.
My little brain won't do it.
It won't do it.
It's just
like he had 63 times where somebody gave him the ball and he ran around.
I'm thinking I might have learned something last night that's new because it pushed something else out. I just don't know. Remember what?
Way to go, Kelly Bundy.
Yeah, thank you. Oh. Okay, I'm back.
Every time I learn something new, it pushes something old out.
That's where I got that.
Remember when I learned how to make my own wine? It's like, well, that's because you were drunk. And how?
Yeah, what a great show.
No, he said because he goes, remember that time I learned how to make wine and I forgot how to drive? And then Marge goes, that's because you were drunk. And then he goes, and how?
And how? Is that Homer?
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a great line. It's one of my favorite lines.
Okay.
Every time I learn something new, it pushes something old out.
Okay, back to on task. So in 91, he had, what you said, 63 carries for 287 yards, a 4.6 average, very good.
Yeah, very good average.
15 receptions for 131 yards and 8.7 yards per catch. But he just wasn't used at all. And then in 92, he played 16 games. He only played 8 in 91. And he wasn't hurt.
No, wasn't hurt.
Now, and we'll get to who was ahead of him.
Yeah.
That blew me away. So in 92, he played 16 games, started 0, 67 carries for 301 yards, a 4.1 average. Nice. 28 receptions for 277 yards, 9.9. Really pretty decent. And that was his last year there. And so we looked at, okay, who was so important that they had to be in front of Marcus Allen to kind of, because I can't believe somebody would be this petty, I guess, is what my problem
Because I actually thought it was Bo Jackson. I thought
did too.
Bo Jackson played longer than he did. So I thought, okay, this is Bo Jackson. That's the reason that Marcus Allen didn't get these carries. That's the reason Marcus Allen. That's not who played in 91 and 92.
Wrong. Oh, they were great, though. They are Hall of Famers.
They are Hall of Famers, but they were at the end of their careers.
Is Roger Craig a Hall of Famer?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I don't think
I guess
he
we
is.
didn't really look for that.
One of them is a Hall of Famer.
I think Roger Craig is a Hall of Famer. He was on those championship teams. He's one of the best all-time in receiving and rushing.
We never looked at his stats.
We never looked at his stats, but that's because I know Roger Craig was at the end of his career when he went to the Raiders, when the Niners finally gave up on him.
We shouldn't have admitted we didn't look at his stats.
That's okay. It's like we're not a professional sports thing.
What?
It's called a mediocre show.
I know, but I told my
you
kids.
have to present the mediocrity somewhere.
That's a good point.
Oh, and we present the mediocrity.
No offense,
with
Tony,
greatness.
just because we mentioned your name doesn't mean you're mediocre.
It's like, but it's like you don't get mentioned in a great sports show, just a mediocre one.
No, it's just mediocre.
That's sad.
That's okay.
But in 1991, the person he started behind was Roger Craig.
Yeah, of all people.
Roger Craig had 162 carries, 590 yards, 1 touchdown. 1.
Not good.
He had 17 catches for 136 yards. Whoopee.
Yeah.
He averaged less than 4 yards a carry. Now remember, Marcus Allen's 1990, he averaged, I think he averaged 4.1 yards a carry still. He was still averaging 4.1.
What year were you looking for?
90.
In 90, he averaged, in 90 it was 3.8.
Oh, it was 3.8. Well, he's averaging, but still, why go out and get, why go out and get Roger Craig when you basically had Roger Craig and Marcus Allen is better than Roger Craig?
That's true. It's true. I mean,
But
there
it's
was no
because-
reason to. He had 4.2 the year before, where he was, which would have been 89 when he was
Which
hurt.
was when Bo, yeah. But in 92, we're looking, and it's like, okay, so who's he starting behind in 92? Eric Dickerson at the end of his career.
And it was bad.
Eric Dickerson, 187 attempts, 729 yards total, 3.9 yards per carry, 14 catches for 85 yards. That's it.
You know,
2 touchdowns.
Yeah, if you
2 touchdowns.
if you had utilized
Marcus Allen can do that in his sleep.
Yeah, if he had utilized Marcus Allen in right
Correctly, in those 2 years.
What did you figure out?
Okay, so what I figured out is that Marcus Allen probably missed out in those 2 years. He missed out on about 1,100 yards in rushing. And this is being conservative because I put basically his average carries per year, multiplied it by his career average, which is 4.1 yards per carry. That's his career average on a 16-year running back.
And I think being conservative is okay because I think Tony's very conservative.
But he missed out on 1,100 yards in those 2 years, I think, rushing.
Okay.
Then he misses out on 16 rushing touchdowns.
Now
Now those are big because he averaged about 10 yards or 10 touchdowns a season, close to that for the prime of his career. He was incredible at getting into the end zone. His final year, his 16th season, he had 11 touchdowns in his 16th season. 11 rushing touchdowns. Look that up. You passed it.
Oh.
His very last year, look at that, with Kansas City. 11 touchdowns in his last year.
Oh my gosh, I was looking at something wrong. It happens. I was looking at his receiving touchdowns going, well, I don't know where you got okay, but you're right. Wow. He had 140.
He's still coming to the revelations even at this point in the show.
Well, yeah, here I am going, whoa, 11, that's misinformation. You're going to have to go back and fix that. And then you're right. His rushing, I knew the word.
Yeah, there you go.
His rushing TDs were 11, 9, 13. Yeah, he did get chipped out of what you just said.
He had 11 touchdowns in his final season. And he didn't even have that many carries in his final season.
No, he didn't. He had 124.
He had 505 rushing yards.
4.1 average.
4.1 average in year 16 as an NFL running back.
So we do, with all your work, that was pretty cool.
Well, I didn't even get to how many catches he missed out on. He missed out on 50 catches, which could have translated to another 600 yards receiving. This is a guy that got probably gypped out on about 1,700 yards total onto his. He would have been probably a 20,000. He would have been probably a 20,000 all-purpose yard guy, between just receiving and just rushing.
Damn close.
He would have been about 20 grand, and that's a big number.
And like I said, I didn't realize he was, and that's just the 2 years, but it's amazing to me. So it does look to me like you have to say. They did try to blackball him.
Yeah, Al Davis, because of a contract dispute. There was even one of his coaches that I guess put Marcus Allen in towards the end of a game.
Yeah, Robisky. I think it was Robisky or something like that.
Put him in towards the end of a game, and he just took his headset off because he knew Al Davis was going to be screaming at him, so he didn't want to listen to it. Marcus Allen won the game for him. Al Davis was still pissed because he didn't want Marcus Allen in there. Al Davis took 2 years away from Marcus Allen on his yards, but Marcus Allen. He doesn't dwell on any of this stuff. He's a class act in all of this. He doesn't dwell on it. He doesn't regret it. He loved his teammates. He loved the team. He still does. He doesn't hate the organization. He doesn't even hate Al Davis. In fact, he pointed this out. He lit Al Davis's flame.
Yep.
So I mean,
That's pretty cool.
It shows you what a big man Marcus Allen was.
And it would have been
Is still to this day.
It would have been hard to sit there. I remember that. I mean, you're a little younger than me, but I do remember that being such a big deal, and an amazing. And I don't know who he went into the Hall of Fame as, a Chief or a Raider. I don't know that. Now we try to keep these shows under a certain amount of time, and
not our shows. They just don't ever stay under 15 minutes.
No, where are we at?
We're at
oh
over
my God,
15.
we did. Wow, I was riveted. I was on every word that you were saying, and I just am amazed. Okay, so now, should we do it at the same time?
Well, no. The main question I think that was posed was, is he the greatest running back of all time?
Or
all-purpose back? Is he the greatest all-purpose back of all time? So that's where, after doing the research, putting all these extra stats onto Marcus Allen to kind of give him a little bit more.
And we weren't paid.
Yeah, we're not paid. We're not getting paid for this at all.
No
Because we don't know any Rams or Raiders fans or St. Louis, or well, they were the St. Louis Rams and the Indianapolis Colts. But the actual best running back, best all-purpose back of all time is Marshall Faulk.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at Marshall Faulk's numbers, he's basically put up the same numbers that
was a very nice Tony.
That Marcus Allen put up.
Yeah.
And he did it in a 4-year shorter career. And even if you take off 2 years for Marcus Allen being blackballed by Al Davis, and the 1 year he was hurt, he still had one more full season.
Yeah.
Than Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk was a special talent. So is Marcus Allen. If you were going to tell me I could have either one of them on my team, I'm going to be very happy. If I could have either one of those guys. If you take Faulk and give me Allen, or if I take Faulk and give you Allen, I'm good.
Who do you think was a? Well, you said.
I think Marcus. I'll say this. I think Marcus Allen was the better running back, but Marshall Faulk was the better receiving running back. So if I need to get 4 yards and I need a running back to get me those 4 yards, I'm probably going to give it to Marcus Allen first, even though Marshall Faulk actually averaged a little bit more in his career.
I'm giving it to Bo Jackson.
I'm giving it to Bo Jackson if he's going against Boz. But if I've got to pick between Allen and Faulk on a short yardage play, running the football, I'm going to give it to Marcus Allen.
Right.
If I need a 3rd and 6 pass, I'm probably going to throw it to Faulk.
And these things are all subjective to whatever you like.
And it's also subjective to, you got to figure, for most of Marcus Allen's career, who were the quarterbacks he played with? He got a little bit of time with Plunkett, but he played with like Steve Berline and Vince Evans and Jay Schrader and
Mark Wilson, wasn't it?
I mean, he did not have the benefit of having, because I think Marshall Faulk had Peyton Manning.
Marshall Faulk,
I think, had Peyton Manning, and he had Kurt Warner, both Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Well, Peyton Manning will be on the first ballot, but Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and you know what?
2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
And whatever Kurt Warner, they had to and then you had Holt,
Bruce, Isaac Bruce.
So they had a lot, and nothing to take Tim Brown. They had Tim Brown.
Tim Brown was a very, very, very good wide receiver.
Hall of Famer, isn't he?
Yeah, Hall of Famer, absolutely. So, but Marcus Allen still didn't have the weapons around him. Marcus Allen, for the most part, was the weapon.
Does that change your opinion then? Wow, you just.
I didn't really think about this until now.
What did you just nerf yourself?
I might have just nerfed myself in this one, because it's like, a big thing for me is the players that are around you.
I know, yeah.
It's like Marshall Faulk had so much talent, and he played on the Greatest Show on Turf, which was a pass-heavy, very offensive team, and they used the run. They used the pass to set up the run.
How would have Marcus Allen done under?
And that's what you have to do. How would have Marcus Allen done in that offense? Because Marcus Allen could catch every bit as good. He had the catching ability. He just never had the chance to do what Marshall. I still think Marshall Faulk is a better receiving back, but I think the ground game would have been even better with Marcus Allen.
I think so too. Wow.
That's the real question here. If Marshall Faulk had to battle through and play with some really bad quarterbacks.
They really was.
Where they could focus everything on, because I guarantee you they were focusing that offense heavy on what Marcus.
On him. The only year he had the only year.
Name his starting wide receivers when he played for Kansas City.
Oh, I couldn't.
I couldn't. I know he played with Joe Montana.
That was good.
But Joe Montana at the end of his career.
And Joe, how do you feel about Joe Montana?
The greatest mediocre quarterback of all time.
So really, he was behind somebody that sucked.
It's like Marcus Allen did not have the benefit of being behind a great Peyton Manning and a great Kurt Warner.
He really didn't.
For most of his career.
And I mean,
he played with, because Jim Plunkett is not a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's a decent quarterback, but he's not a Hall of Famer. He's a good quarterback. He was only good once he got under what was the coach? Flores.
Hey, look at me, I remembered.
Yeah, good. You were there for. It's like when he was under Flores.
Well, you know what's funny too? There's only about, if you think about the greatest show on turf versus Marcus Allen in Kansas City, it's only about a 10-year gap.
Yeah.
So it's not like an amazing, the league changes so much.
Yeah, it's not like the league changed a ton in that time.
So I think we're done. I think we've solved nothing. Way to go.
I think we've solved absolutely nothing. So we'll leave it to you to decide. Do you think that Marcus Allen is the greatest rushing and receiving back of all time? We're not going to say all purpose, because it's like for some reason the NFL likes to throw kick and punt returns into that.
Yeah, like we don't even count kicking in our lives.
No, I don't even count it. In fact, if I had my way, I'd get rid of kicking altogether. Get rid of it. I don't want extra points, field goals, punting, nothing.
You get and you had a great idea, the fit down, but that was on one of his other shows.
No, that was on a different show. That was on a different show where I talk about the rules for the XFL and how it can succeed.
You should watch that show because it's
good
very
informative. I liked it, but I'm biased. I made it.
You're biased? What?
I'm biased.
Bias. What the hell did you just say? There's nothing wrong with that.
There's anything wrong with that.
We're out.
All right. So, to all the troops, past, present, and future, thanks for the freedom.
Yep.